What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I am back again with another video. Listen, the first thing that I have to say before we get into any of this conversation is just that Kevin Samuels is 3 for 3 this week. Okay, it is, we already know that The Godfather's undefeated, but for this particular week, I don't know what is going on. I don't know if there's something that people just feel the need to, or they feel more comfortable to kind of speak at the spaces that they're in right now because they don't feel like they have that certain space of anybody that would call out certain behaviors or expose certain behaviors as being toxic. I'm not really sure. But what I am sure about is that to see, the situation that happened with Vivica Fox, where she decided that she, is ready for a marriage, or she's looking for a partner or a husband now.
Are you dating?
Yeah.
How's it going?
I'm wanting to date.
Yeah.
It's limited resources out there, right?
To see Ebony K. Williams, who chose to, get a sperm donor to become a single mother by choice.
Some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about.
To now, Naomi Campbell speaking out and everybody finding out that the 2 children that she has, were conceived through surrogacy, but also that she made the choice to become a single mother because she was raised by one. I'm just going to go ahead and get into everything that she said in her interview. So it says here, Naomi Campbell is opening up about motherhood after she recently welcomed a second child via surrogate last year. Naomi, now a mother of 2, says her children have given her a new purpose in life, and she honestly doesn't need a father to help raise them. Her quotes were, "I hope for a better world for my children," Naomi said to The Times. She also quoted and said, "They are 110% my priority. I have to be there for them on their first day at school." She then added that she was happy being a single mother from a single mom, and that "my babies are everything to me. It's made me fear for the future." Naomi also decided to give the younger women some advice regarding motherhood. Though she understands a lot of women decide against having children due to the economic strain it causes, she tells them that women have to birth the next generation of future leaders. "I understand economically it is tough, but my mom had nothing and she made it work. It's worth it. It is so amazing. We have to depend on the younger generation to change the world. I trust my children more than us to do the right thing." Honestly, just going right there and saying that you trust your children more than you to do the right thing, I think that this is a prime example of maybe that situation of doing so, right? I think that, there a lot of people, they're focused on the fact that Naomi Campbell has money. They're focused on the fact that she maybe has nannies. They're focused on the fact that, her daughters or her children are going to be in different tax brackets. And so they will not have certain situations or certain problems that other children will have. But they're misunderstanding the main point or the main problem. The main issue is that you are raising this child by choice without knowing the other half of themselves. Can we understand that? When you bring a child into the world, it is no longer just about you. It's no longer just about how you feel. It's no longer just about what you think. What I constantly see is a lot of these women, they get older, they are unable to figure out how to make the relationship work with their counterparts, but they don't want to be alone. So in terms of trying to find a quote unquote companion or somebody to live with them, or so they don't have that feeling of loneliness so they can create their own family, a lot of these women have children. Some of these women, this is the new extreme, right? The new extreme is going to, what Ebony K. Williams did and just, picking somebody out of a book and creating a child. This is a whole different tier of, just not even having to go through the whole process or whatever the case is, and you just want children, so you're just gonna do whatever it is that has to be done. A lot of these women, in my opinion, are proving the reason why they actually have the harder time finding relationships. And one of those reasons is because of their need for control. We see it a lot of times with, the boss chick that she, tells everybody what to do at the job. So then she comes home and she wants to tell everybody what to do there, and it's the same dynamic of the creation of the child, right? It's the controlling dynamic. Well, I'm ready now. I'm going to have it now. I'll pay for somebody to do this. I'll pay for somebody to do that. I'll pay for the donor. I'll pay to freeze the eggs. I'll do all these things because it's on my time when I feel like it, when I'm in control. And it's almost like that level of control, or in my personal opinion, ego, it leads also to the reason, like almost like a disrespect to the dynamics that are and that create us as human beings, and the places that we have to go to or get to be able to procreate. It kind of is like a slap in the face to that whole system and function in general. Right? Like if a man and a woman need to come together to be able to procreate. And now this is not talking about the dynamics of people who go through things health-wise, who are unable, who whatever the case is. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm saying in these aspects, it's just like, I'm going to do this when I feel like it. And so since I feel like it at this time, I'm just going to go. And because of, the space that I'm in financially, I can afford to just make it happen when I feel like it should happen. And on the other hand, there's a lot of other women who would just be in a relationship with a guy who seems like it might work out, or seems like, they don't mind morphing genes with this person, just so that they can procreate and then create these children for their own selfish reasons. Because I've always wanted to be a mother, because I've always wanted this, because I want to live a certain dream, because I. But what about that child? So you have this situation where you decide that you are going to be a single mother by choice. You don't want to have to, get on a man's page. Let's talk about what it really is. You don't want to have to learn how to be agreeable. You don't want to learn how to humble yourself in certain situations so that you can make some kind of companionship work. You don't want to do that. So you step around the man. And now it is, having this conversation that is trying to teach other younger women. I thought it was ironic that she was giving younger women advice. We're going to get to that in a second. But you're showing these younger women that the only thing that is valuable from a man is his seed. That's it. It's either he could pay all the bills or it's his seed. It's ironic that women talk about how, I could do better by myself. I don't need a man. But you could not have these children if it was not for a man somewhere. You need that special life force that is flowing around within him to create the lifestyle that you say that is so worth it. Think about it. This is how foolish this whole, I don't need no man. I could do better by myself. I got it. My mama did it, so I could do it. This is how foolish this mentality is. You proclaim that you're going to go to work. You're going to make all this money. You don't need a man. You're going to be able to provide for yourself. You're going to be able to provide for your family. You're going to be able to provide for your children. You don't have to compromise who you are. You don't have to dim your light. You don't have to make yourself smaller to make somebody else comfortable. These are the things that they say. But then, for you to have the quote unquote ultimate joy, the feeling that's so worth it, you need a man for that most major part, which is creating a child. The thing that I see so often is that women often villainize men, right? They villainize men and they make it seem like, oh, I could figure it out. I don't need no man. I could do it. All I see is miserable wives, and all I see is this and that. And just because we married don't mean that he gonna stick around anyway. You always see women villainize men, and then they get into certain spaces where they realize, well, maybe when I was in my youth and I was young and I had the pick of the litter, maybe I was tripping. When they realize that boat has sailed, they start using coping mechanisms. And then because they don't want to be in that space by themselves, they start to relay the message of coping mechanisms to younger women as well. Because I want to get you to where I'm at so that you won't have the same options that I do, but I want to infiltrate your mind from your younger years because that's when I messed up. Because remember, let's hear what she said here. She said she wants to give advice to the younger women. Though I understand there's a lot of women who decide against having children due to the economic strain it causes, she tells them that women have to birth the next generation of future leaders. So it don't matter if you broke. It don't matter if you don't have your life figured out. It doesn't matter if, you're in a certain space of, again, not being able to effectively be in a relationship so that you are able to amicably raise these children up in a 2-parent household. It doesn't matter about that. At the same time, you're telling women to have children and then you're telling them that they don't need a man. So what kind of future are you trying to create? We would wish that these women would try to break the cycle. Instead, they're doing the complete opposite. They're like, no, let's just go ahead and continue with the cycle. Let's just keep the cycle going. The quote here where she said, a single mother from a single mom. It's just so distasteful. It's so distasteful.
What do you think of?
The reason why I'm bringing up these clips is because I want to say, and it's, again, I have to say, it's just so nostalgic for me. Those who are my A1s, day ones know that this is like the first things I started to react to. So it's like, again, super nostalgic. But I want to say that the reason why it is so essential for these clips to be brought back up is because I need younger women out there. I need women who are in, living normal lives, going to their normal jobs. I want these women to understand that there is 2 options of things that can happen, right? In the situation that happens with the people who, like the Ebony K. Williams, like the Vivica Fox, like the Naomi Campbell, these women are in completely different aspects of life. Right? They are the quote unquote boss chick in all different facets. We got a judge, we got an actress, we have a model. Like they're in totally different atmospheres than the quote unquote average or regular woman. We need for these regular or average women, everyday women, to understand what their results are going to be. Because not just because people like Halle Berry or whoever the case is, that they are able to go off and jump into these relationships, partially because of who they are, and again in the space that they are surrounded by, means that is going to be the reality for you, taking these notes and taking a page out of these women's books. We need the reality check.
See what I mean? I'm trying to be. I'm not
think that this is another thing. There's a lot of women who are out there, right? And again, this is why I made the point. You know, they'll see a Halle Berry, a J-Lo, a Vivica Fox, Ebony K. Williams, and Naomi Campbell, and these people might pop up and be in relationships and even get remarried at a certain age and stage, right? Whether they like the man for real or not. Some of these women will just jump into relationships and jump into marriages just to prove that this mentality or that this rhetoric is actually incorrect, right? However, there's a lot of younger women who are looking up to these situations and saying, oh, well, you know, if it could happen for her, it could happen for me. If it could happen for this person, it could happen for me. Misunderstanding that, you know, when you are in these certain spaces, it does not mean that you're not a good person. It does not mean that you might not be doing the best that you can as a parent. It doesn't mean that you don't have good intentions. You have to understand that when men are, you know, observing you and are going to enter into a relationship with you, you have to understand that they are not going to evaluate you in the same way that you are evaluating you. You evaluate yourself because you know yourself, because you love yourself, because you have compassion for your situation, where men are just looking at the situation logically and are saying, is this something that is an asset or a liability? Is this something that makes sense to me, or is this something that does not make sense to me? Especially if you are trying to embark in a relationship with a man who has no children and you already have one. It's just the reality of it. Again, it doesn't make you a horrible person. It doesn't make you, you know, foolish that you've made a mistake. It's just the reality of cause and effect. Everybody is looking for, you know, especially these younger women, they're all looking for the Sierra story. Again, she's in a whole different atmosphere. Before, I know what Kevin's going to get into, but before he even gets into that, I just want to say this, you know, again, looking at the situation, it's just important to understand that, yes, maybe as you age, you gain more wisdom. Maybe you are more emotionally intelligent. Maybe you are completely evolved from the person that you were. And, you know, you are elevated and you feel that you have more value based off of the things that you have, the knowledge you have obtained, the things that you've gone through. And again, there's nothing wrong with that from a self-love aspect. Right? But again, if we are looking at the whole point of somebody who is going to be entering into this situation who does not know you, they have to put you in the same, you know, if it's a lineup of 10 women or 10 different options, and you are one of the options who you did already have a child, you were already, you know, in a whole situation, and there's another woman who is maybe in the same exact age bracket as you, who has no children and he has no children, and they want to start a future together. Is that man with the finances, is he going to, you know, possibly look at you and prioritize you over the woman who would not be walking in with any added baggage? Because, okay, everybody always comes with something, right? Some kind of trauma, childhood trauma, whatever the case is. But this is a whole thing that he is going to have to take a back seat. And whenever that child's father is, you know, says something, a man who is in a household with a child who already has their own father, he is not really the end all be all of authority. I see a lot of women say, well, how come women, you know, get with men who have children? They don't have the same problems because the father, the man is the authority. The man is the final say. You know, you always hear well, go ask your father. It's the man is the one who puts his foot down. When he is now in a predicament that his finances, his, you know, what he wants to do, his decision making is tied up of, you know, you having to communicate certain things with another man, it causes a lot of conflict. It just does. I want to say this, right? I just want to be very, you know, intentional when I say this. First thing I want to say really quick, and we're going to jump right back in, is that, you know, when Kevin Samuels was correcting her and saying, you know, as a black woman, you know, when you're talking about your feelings as if it's factual, I got to stop you right there because of the representation. It just reminded me of this whole situation, again, that's happening with the people like, you know, Naomi Campbell, Vivica Fox, Ebony K. Williams. And, you know, that is representation as black women. I don't know if somebody can tell me in the comment sections or point somebody out to me. I do not know a white woman with the same kind of public, platform or knowledge of a lot of people knowing who she is, maybe a model, an actress, or a judge. I don't see it where it is, they're the plaster of prioritizing being a single mother over having a relationship with a man or having a child with a man. And I'm talking about women who are in heterosexual relationships. Please show me a white woman or just a woman of another race that is, wanting to be the poster child of being a single mother by choice. One of the reasons why I feel like we don't see that is because other women understand that if they are going to procreate, that it is a two-person job. A lot of people within the Black community, a lot of our women within the Black community, they make the choice and they feel like there's nothing wrong with creating broken homes just because they've seen it so much. Oh, I've seen it done 1,000,000 times. I could do it. It's not a big deal. I'll just perpetuate the same narrative that's being pushed anyway. I have no problem doing that. Another thing I wanted to say was that this woman was saying that she has no problem, giving her child to the father for her child to live with the father 100% of the time. And, she'll see him on the weekend so she can move on and create a new life. And one thing that I have to say is that even in having that conversation, it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's a lose-lose situation. If you have that conversation with a man that your child lives with their father and, you're just focused on him and stuff like that, somewhere innately, it is going to kind of be like, well, if you and I have a child together and our relationship doesn't work out, does that mean that you're going to just keep doing the same thing and keep creating the families and then just kind of like walking away from them? Like I said, it's a lose-lose because a man would want a woman to be, have her motherly qualities and make sure that she is taking care of her responsibilities. However, it is just a cause and the effect. You are in the situation that was created, whether it was a mistake or not, and you have to be in it. If you're co-parenting effectively, or if you want your child to go live with their father, there's still going to be a downside to the fact that you have a child out there who is not under your regime. It just is, even if it's a weekend thing, even if it's a whatever the thing, it's still the fact that you are in a space that you have a child and you are wanting to embark on somebody who is going to take care of all of your bills. And regardless of anything, something could happen to that child's father. Any situation, any game can play. And then he has to have in his mind that he is going to be able to take on the financial burden of you and of this child. And again, it's not that there's men out there who are not willing to do that, but everybody is looking for that same quote unquote ideal kind of man. And they all feel like they're first in line for him. The thing is, right, it's so ironic how a lot of women become the things or the qualities that a man wants after they already have children. After the man who was the ideal man in their mind, steps away or proves that he no longer wants a relationship with them. Like after, sometimes their youth subsides, after sometimes they put on a whole bunch of weight. Like that's when they get into the aspects of, now I can do all the work to get on a man's page.
But
So just to wrap up that situation, right? And going back to the Naomi Campbell thing, like, okay, so if you're following the footsteps of a Naomi Campbell and Ebony K. Williams, and you decide that you are going to procreate by yourself, a lot of these women don't have the means of actually doing surrogacy or even getting a sperm donor, so they will just go to whoever it is that they can get around, whoever is going to be in the mind frame of just procreating with them, whoever they can convince that they're on birth control, or do the I forgot what they call it, like the lizard lock or whatever the thing is that they lock you down to make sure that all that goes in them, or whatever the situation is. They create these situations where they have the child because they feel like they just want a baby and they're not able to make it work, in a relationship. And then they get these situations where these outcomes of, now hindsight is 2020, and now you don't want to, be in this state of mind. You don't want to be with that person. You want to move forward, whatever the case is. The whole point of the conversation is always about being realistic with your options after you make that choice. It's the same thing with Ebony K. Not because they're older, or not even because they're in a certain bracket, means that they are in spaces that they are able to now, reap the benefits of being with a certain type or caliber of man. No, after you have already decided to procreate, it changes the dynamics of the entire relationship with the person. Period. It doesn't matter if you went through some self journey. It doesn't matter if you grew within yourself. That's all good and fine, again, for your own self-love journey. But this is somebody who is choosing to love you and choosing to step into this situation to, again, care for you and the child that you created. And it's about being realistic with your options. Ironically enough, there's a lot of single mothers out there who would say they don't want to be with a man who has a kid, when that's like your playing field. They say, no, I want a man that has no kids, who is, making six figures, who drives this kind of car, who's this tall, who is going to pay all my bills, who's going to pay my rent. They want all the above.
So
this is my problem with, I have to keep saying the names, with the people like the Vivica Fox and all these people, is that they're doing their thing, and they're doing it based off of where they are in their own mindset. Nobody's perfect. Everybody learns. Everybody grows. However, when they step into these aspects and they're saying like, oh, they're going to find a husband, and they do all these things, it allows a lot of these women to take for granted the men around them, to take for granted the opportunities of marriage and long-term relationships within their youth, within their quote unquote prime. It puts these women in certain predicaments that they think, oh, well, because it happened for her or for her, that means that I can, take this good guy for granted, or, brush him off and tell him I don't want to be in a relationship with him because, I'm going to get my Sierra story. So I don't got to deal with this man who's willing to take me and take my child and protect and provide for me. I don't have to do that. I can just keep brushing these guys off until I get the exact perfect one on paper, who is going to do all the above, and I have to compromise very little because he's going to fall at my feet. Again, a lot of these women that are in these spaces are sending signals to a lot of these younger women's brains that it could happen for this person, so it can happen for me. The first woman said it, now this woman said it. I always I had this conversation in real life. Like in real life, I have this conversation with people. And I always say, you know, if a woman is in a relationship, a long-term relationship, or even a marriage, and decides that she is going to get a divorce and she wants to go back out there because it's not what she thought it was, or the person changed, or whatever the case is, I always make it a point to say, do not get comfortable in your solitude, because what happens is when you have a quote unquote selfish year and you just quote unquote focus on you, a lot of the times that what happens is the you know, self-development that is necessary for relationships, you're not working on. You put that to the back burner, and all you do is focus on everything that makes you happy, everything that makes you comfortable, and it makes it a lot harder for you to get on a man's page and or compromise when you're actually in a relationship, because you've been so focused on you and so self-centered that now if they do something that doesn't align you know, with your quote unquote comfort, you have a problem. For example, you have a woman who is in a relationship with a man or lived with a man long term, and maybe, I'm just going to use this for an example, maybe he didn't you know, clean the kitchen after he was done cooking, and now she has like her everything is in place, everything is exactly how she wants it. She gets into a relationship with a man, they move in together, and he does the same thing. She'd be like, oh no, I'm not doing this. The relationship is over, I gotta go. Like, you know, we have to think about these things and think about the severity of these things and the severity of, again, the cause and effect of the things that can happen when you prioritize your selfish years or your quote unquote solitude. The thing that's so crazy is that, you know, in reality of these situations, and we're going to talk about it more and more, but in the reality of these situations, you know, the people like that are following in these footsteps of being single mothers and going out there and creating these children with, you know, purposefully creating these children to grow up in fatherless homes or without a connection to their actual birth father by choice. It is very damaging to our community. I think it is very selfish. I think it's very foolish. And, you know, again, I have to say that even in these situations with regular women, you know, at least they know who their, you know, their children's father is. And at least some of these, you know, younger children have relationships with their fathers. But whenever these boss chicks are going down the road, like a Ebony K. Williams or Naomi Campbell, they don't even have a father to send the children to the house to. Like, there is no daddy drop off. There is no other option. And I think it's just mind-boggling and crazy that we have normalized this in society to make it seem like it is 100% okay that if you cannot, you know, get on somebody else's page and figure out how to create an amicable relationship between, you know, the two of you, that you can just go basically and just go purchase the lifestyle that you want without having to do the work. But again, not understanding the magnitude of what it is going to put that child through. It is completely distasteful and it's completely unfair to that child. Another thing that I think is really ironic is that a lot of these women who end up doing these things, you know, you have women who come from 2-parent households who purposely go out and create, you know, a baby mama situation and a fatherless home for their child. It's bad enough when you have, you know, you know, people who are going out and perpetuating or continuing the cycle. But it's even worse when you have a situation where you know who both of your parents are and you purposely just stand out of that and go create a situation that you did not even have to grow up in. I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on this video, as crazy as it is. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.